another video. So in this video, we are going to configure our controllers. So I will go back to my topology, turn back on the controllers. Okay, vManage is on port number 69, 69, 770, 71. So let's go back to my remote manager. Let's go to the vManage 69. I will start the session. vSmart will be 32770. I will start the session and vBond will be start the session. Okay. So okay, vBond and vSmart are coming up. vManage will take a little bit time. So first time booting, vManage will take at least 30 minutes. With my high speed SSD, it will take 20 minutes maybe. So okay, so we will just wait for these devices to say system ready, then we are ready to go ahead and configure the devices. Okay. Okay, so vSmart says that system ready, so I will say admin and admin, and I will also reissue the password also as admin and admin to keep it easy. Now with the vSmart vManage also came up, so I will say admin and admin. So now vManage, you have to give a password, otherwise it will take admin over here, but it will force you to change the password when you take a GUI access like a web access. So first will be the compute and data. So select always compute and data. We want both in one. Say yes. And again select the hard disk, which is 200 GB VDB number one. Say one and say yes. And now it will start booting up again. So now coming to the vBond, again system ready admin and admin. And I will give the password as admin and admin. Now let's talk about the configuration now. To configure the vSmart now, the first thing is that we say config t VPN 0. Now, as we discussed in the one of these videos saying that all the VPNs will be under the VRFs, so that VRFs are replicated by the VPNs. So basically, so there is a vSmart. So we do have ETH1 and ETH0. So this one will be acting as a management, this one will be acting as a transport. So whichever is facing to the internet will be a transport. So ETH0 is the management, and always management is being referred to the 512. So VPN 512. So it's like a VRF number 512 simply. So always management will be referred to the 512, and always the transport will be referred to the VPN 0. Always the transport, if it is connecting to the internet via the business internet MPLS, doesn't matter. So now you can have multiple interfaces, it's not only one. So in the branches you see that in the VPN 0 we do have two links connected, and here there is only one link. Next important thing is that in this SD-WAN, whichever the interface is connecting to the internet, we will make sure that it is a tunnel interface, and we will allow some services in that particular interface. So let's go back to the vSmart. So in the vSmart, first I will say config t, always VPN 0 no interface ETH0. So by default, the management interface is in the VPN 0. And again, there is no compulsory like mandatory you should be having ETH0 as management and ETH1 as the transport. You can have ETH0 as a transport and ETH1 as a management until unless you understand it, that's all fine. So if I say do show run, I did not commit the changes. So by default, you see that ETH0 is been configured. It is been configured as a DHCP. So when I say commit, so it will remove that interface. If I say do show run VPN 0, now there is nothing in that one. If I say do show run VPN 512, still there is nothing in that. That means I do have ETH1 and 2. I can freely define it into any of the interfaces. So first what I will do a 5112, then I will say interface ETH0. IP address I will go with 150.1.7.22/24. 21 I will go with vmanage, 22 vsmart, 23 vbond. And I will say no shut and exit, that's it. Now with the VPN 0 we have a little bit interesting, that is ETH1 IP address will be 20.1.1.2. 1 will be the management, 2 will be the what do we say vsmart, and 3 will be the vbond. And no shut, we will say tunnel interface, we will say allow services all, or we will say allow services net config, and we will say allow services sshd and exit. Within VPN 0, we will also write default route towards your ISP. So now first we are saying the transport interface is ETH1 connecting to internet. This is the IP address. We want to tunnel the interface. We want to allow all the services. Net config, this is for the programmability or the API connectivity in order to push the configuration remotely from the vmanage, and SSHD to get the SSH from this particular IP. So always the transport should be a tunnel interface, otherwise your vsmart, vbond and vmanage will not synchronize. Next thing is that we have to give some details. Those details are known as system. In that system we will say what is the host name for this particular device, and also we will define what is the site ID. I will go with 200 for controllers. And what is the system IP, like an identification, I will say 200.0.2. 1 will be management and 3 will be that. And I will also say what is my organization name, which is very important and case sensitive. And I will say what is my clock time zone. So I will say Australia, Melbourne. And most important, who is my vbond. This is very important. Okay, so one is the management interface. Another one is the transport interface, which we are tunneling. And within a VPN 0, we are also providing the default gateway. And in the system, we are now defining some parameters related to the identification of the devices. And after that, finally, I will say commit. Let's go to the vsmart. vsmart also is came up online, so that's all good. So I will say admin and password. Okay, password is wrong. That should be mois123#. So I will do the same thing here. VPN 0, no interface, ETH0, exit and commit. VPN 512 interface ETH0, IP address will be 150.1.7.21/24, and no shut, exit and exit. Similarly VPN, otherwise first I will let me commit that one so that it will take time to load that application. So I will commit it in the management. Then we can go ahead with the VPN 0 interface ETH1. IP address will be 20.1.1.1/24. No shutdown. And after the tunnel interface, allow services all, and allow services netconf and SSHD. Exit from the interface. So first I press the exit and it came back to the interface. Now I will say that IP route default gateway within the VPN 0 20.1.1.254 and exit out. Now the system device identification, that will be the system. Host name will be vmanage. Site ID will be 200. System IP will be 200.0.1. Organization name will be Sysable, that's my company name. And clock time zone, I will say Australia and Melbourne. And VBond details, it is very much important, 20.1.1.3 and exit. And now we will commit it. So now if I go back to my browser and if I say f21 certificate error, that's fine, and click on that one, continue, and you see that it is still loading up, that's fine. Okay, so my vmanage is done, so let's go to the vbond. So now vbond, you see that by default it is a vh, so we have to make this vh as a vbond. So config t. So in this one we don't have to worry about the management because it is has a dedicated one actually, so we need not worry about it. So let's go to the system identification first, where I will say that host name will be vbond, site ID will be 200, system IP will be 200.0.3, organization will be Sysable, and clock time zone will be Australia and Melbourne, and vbond. This is interesting now. When I say local, this has now become a vbond. Now this v edge is now a vbond because I said local. So when I say local, that means it became a vbond simply. Exit. So if I say commit, so now that this has now become a vbond. So now let's define that interface. That is VPN 512 interface ETH0. IP address will be 150.1.7.23/24 and no shut. Exit and exit. VPN 0 interface GE0. Very important. It should be lowercase letter. Very, very important. IP address will be 20.1.1.3/24. Now, this IP address which we were giving everywhere, who is my vbond, is now being assigned to the actual device and interface. And we already made this device as a vbond by saying vbond IP address and local. So next we say no shut, and we will say tunnel interface, allow services all, allow services net config, allow services sshd, and exit out of the interface, and we will define the default route on the VPN. You can have multiple of them, we will see in the branch. 54 and exit and commit. Alright, so my vmanage, vsmart and vbond is done. So let's go back to the browser and see if the vmanage is up and not. So it's still not up yet. So it's almost been like 11 minutes now. So it came so far, that is a very good. So if your hard disk speed is slow, hopefully it will take a little more time, but I do recommend a very good hard disk SSD speed. Okay, so let's write down the commands in here. So I will go back to the to show run system, and I will copy these commands so that it will be easy for us to configure in the branch. Okay, so this should be good. So when we are configuring the branches, we will go ahead and configure the interfaces when we configure the branches. That's fine. This information should be good. We just have to wait for the vManage to come up online. All right, so it came up on the 15 minutes time. That's super good. So I will just log in into the vManage, and now we are able to log in into the vManage. So we are now have successfully deployed the controllers. So I hope this was informative for you, and thank you.